Alright, so I've recently played through one of my favorite new action platformers that's an indie game, and yes, it is a Metroidvania style, which has been completely oversaturated in the last few years, especially when it comes to the Nintendo Switch. It's like ever since Symphony of the Night came gloriously trotting out decades ago on the PlayStation 1, every studio that develops 2D side-scrolling games has wanted to make something just as special using the same formula. But much like there ever being a bad Nicolas Cage movie, which by the way, there definitely is not, it rarely actually holds up to the standard that has been set. However, as rare as it is, every so often a studio comes around, takes this simple 2D pseudo-open world formula, and creates an experience that is up there with the very best of the genre. And I feel that this is exactly what the Spanish studio The Game Kitchen has brought to us with their latest offering, Blasphemous 2. Taking place after the final events of the DLC for the first Blasphemous, you again take the role of the penitent one, as you continue your penance throughout the world. As you slough out of your would-be eternal sleep, groggy as all hell, and ready to get on with one ghoul of a Monday in this beautifully grotesque hellscape. One of the first aspects that you'll notice that differentiates this entry from the first one is that you'll immediately have the chance to select one of 3 different weapons. The first, a giant incense burner, of course ordained with screaming faces that acts as a very powerful flail. This is also the most powerful weapon and my personal favorite. Next you'll have an absolutely adorable little rapier and dagger combo. Dual wielding these babies is the perfect idea if you want to slay some demons, but not have it done very effectively and, there's no reason to be too rude about it. And lastly, you'll have the praying blade, a more traditional weapon, which does resemble the sword that you had in the first game, and is an absolute workhorse of a weapon, combining the strengths of the first 2. But even if you're unsure of which one to choose, hey, feareth not, because throughout your blood-soaked journey, you'll come across the other 2, able to have all 3 in your arsenal to switch between on the fly, with the tap of a button. The L1 button, to be exact. Yep, this little guy right here. This falls right in line with Game Kitchen's producer David Arosa's desire to make Blasphemous 2 into more of a traditional Metroidvania entry, where you'll obtain multiple weapons and abilities that you can subsequently use to reach areas of the map that were previously inaccessible. These primary abilities are unique to each weapon, such as ringing a large bell with your flail, opening up temporary platforms, and then as you drop down, immediately switching to that sweet little rapier and dagger, striking a mirror which teleports you as you quickly platform your way across the void before the barrier reforms. These abilities all have practical applications within combat as well, stringing them all together to feel like the ultimate penitent badass. You'll also have your rosary beads, which grants you passive skills and buffs, spells known as prayers that act as your magical attacks, and these cool little wooden statues, which you can equip one at a time, providing you with its particular power, such as added defense, or you can equip them as sets, which will of course enhance the particular power. You'll also notice early on these rail-type mechanisms on the walls, making platforms just out of reach. This of course leads to the classic Metroidvania style wall jump. However, this time around, you'll have to discover an item called the Ivy of Ascension in order to unlock this ability. But how sweet it is once you do. All these aspects lead to some truly addictive gameplay, feeling familiar since nothing done in Blasphemous 2 is really new or groundbreaking when it comes to the Metroidvania genre. However, what is offered is truly some of the best gameplay of any action platformer, with expertly crafted combat, feeling fast and fluid, without any hiccups while fighting multiple enemies that I have experienced yet. The platforming aspects are also very well done, completely on par with the best of the Castlevania and Metroid titles, keeping the gameplay fresh and exciting, with challenging and grotesque enemies that will keep you engaged but are never as brutally hard as the majority of the enemies in the Souls games that the Game Kitchen clearly used as inspiration. The boss fights, however, can be extremely challenging, but again, never feeling cheap or unfair. And as disturbing as some of the enemies are, the bosses take it up to another notch in the weirdness and/or gross factor. They're all very unique and well thought out in their design and style. And speaking of style, this is a commodity that is definitely not in short supply in Blasphemous 2, with the visuals looking absolutely stunning, with the world design heavily influenced by Spanish and Catholic imagery, playing on the inherent violence that is so prevalent throughout religious iconography, history, and text, with the visuals and dialogue vague and cryptic, combining to give you the feel of playing through some epic poem such as Dante's Inferno. The world feels so alive, or I guess undead would probably be the better word to use there, with all the detail that the art department over at the Game Kitchen has painstakingly put into each setting. Whether it be the cities, caverns, forests, or eerie as hell castles and palaces that you venture into, each one has its own personality and secrets to explore. The NPCs that you encounter help flesh out the dark and mysterious story of the game, as well as explain in vague details the events that are currently taking place. The story is disturbing and violent, filled with a corruption and dehumanization that can manifest itself when a godlike figure, in this case the Miracle, is worshipped and followed by powerful people seeking to only enrich themselves at the cost of the citizens' lives they are supposed to serve and protect. As the penitent one, your order is to try and stop the Miracle from reincarnating itself, taking out in utterly brutal fashion its most faithful disciples and protectors. This grave story and lore is also explained through all the items that you discover and obtain, all having anywhere from a paragraph to a whole page of really well written and disturbing lore. The writers in this game seriously went all out in that department. You'll be able to recover your health and save your progress when you come across these altars that will refill your health and health flasks. You'll also discover shortcuts, such as ladders and elevators that you can activate, keeping with the Souls and Bloodborne inspiration. The soundtrack perfectly complements the creepy and at times downright terrifying visuals, with composer Carlos Viola creating stellar tracks for each stage, ranging from light guitar motifs to epic orchestral arrangements. Some of the songs, especially the music that plays for the City of the Blessed Name stage, to me sounds like it could be an early song from one of my favorite bands, Muse, off of their Origin of Symmetry or Absolution albums. One of my favorites is the eerie rhythmic arrangement for the boss fight Orospina, with how it builds in speed and tension as the fight goes on, increasing your anxiety level to the max. And while on the topic of the soundtrack, how in the world do these indie studios get such incredible composers? I looked up Carlos Viola and could only find that he has composed the OST for the first Blasphemous. It's like these incredible musicians just come out of nowhere with these studios, and just another of the many reasons why I find indie games so interesting. It reminds me a lot of going to local record stores and finding obscure artists, then being absolutely blown away by their talent, and thinking, how in the world are these guys not famous yet? By the way, pro tip, next time you're out game hunting or grabbing a pumpkin spice G Fuel or whatever, swing by your local record shop. There's always something really cool in there. All in all, while Blasphemous 2 may not break the mold of the Metroidvania genre, what it does offer is a dark, refreshing, addictively fun experience that I feel will go down as one of the best games that this genre has to offer, and will most definitely have you looking forward to jumping right back in anytime you have to take a break for a while, to do pointless things like going to work, making a sandwich, petting a cat, and so on. But what do you guys think? Is this the game that you've already checked out, or is it on your list to play? Let me know in the comments below. Definitely go ahead and click that like and subscribe button. It would absolutely help out the channel a lot. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you on the next video. Also, by the way, I don't know if you noticed, trying out some new backdrops. It's nothing really that new. It's the same room. It's just the camera's pointing backwards instead of forwards. So, anyways, let me know how you guys like it. Still tinkering with a bit. Have a good day.